Greetings, everyone. Happy Saturday. How you guys doing this morning? We had an eclipse last night we had an eclipse this morning for those of us who are on the East Coast. But for those of us who are on the West Coast, we had it last night at midnight. And it was in Virgo at the 23rd degree, which is a degree that is ruled by Aquarius. So the thing that I appreciate about the astrology and the numerology is that it highlights the symbolism. My kitty cat is in here losing her little mind. It highlights the symbolism. And before we had language like English or Spanish or any of that stuff, we spoke through symbolism. There was a strong intuitive component in our language which didn't um, break us away. The intuitive faculty of our language really connected us into this experience of oneness and allness, which the language that we speak now breaks down. The language that we speak now doesn't encourage intuition and oneness. It's very specific. It's very masculine. It's very externally focused. And there's this book called the Alphabet versus the Goddess. I suggest you guys check it out. If you're devoted to learning how to use your energy and how to really be peaceful, happy, successful here, the information, the study, the information will help you to be able to make the shift from who you are now and into a new way of being. And a big part of this is understanding symbolism. And that's what astrology does. It helps me understand the symbolism, even though I already understood it, because when I was a child and I used to be in church all the time, I knew that when they were talking about Jesus and the apostles, that I knew intuitively, instinctively, that that was mythology, that was about the human experience. Joseph Campbell, if you guys are familiar with Joseph Campbell's work, his work helps us understand the archetypes. And what the symbolism in the mind that can understand symbolism does is it knows that everything that's happening in the world is a reflection of your own internal world. And so the world is always giving you confirmation, symbolism back to reflect back to who you were, which is how our ancestors understood how to move through this reality. So when I was a little girl, when they would talk about Jesus in church, I knew they were talking about me. When they would talk about Mary, I knew they were talking about me. Not just about me, they're talking about all of us. They're giving us the codes, the symbolism to interpret and embody the energies. But we live in a culture that's very externally focused, ego driven, the self, individual. So it pulls you out of this wholeness, this oneness that truly is the key to this reality, oneness. And as you can see, we live in a reality where oneness is the last thing that we are practicing, understanding, and so we're coming back to it. So today we just had a full moon eclipse in Virgo at the 23rd degree, which is a degree that is ruled by Aquarius. So I wanted to make an attempt at having a conversation about Jesus from the perspective of the sun and his 12 disciples from the perspective of the constellations, because that is the true power of the Bible. It's literally a code about yourself to access you. Let me say I have never talked about this stuff out loud before. I really haven't. I've talked I mean maybe I've talked to some friends, but I've never said like, okay, I'm going to talk about it out loud and, teach or share. I'm not even teaching. I'm sharing because all of this stuff is thousands of years old, and there have been so many interpretations of it, and it's all up for debate, but it's personal. This is not about being right or wrong. This is about understanding the embodiment of the Christ consciousness, or Ra, a Haru, so that we can access it for ourselves and we're not deifying anyone externally. Just Be You 77 said, this is funny you're talking about this now today. The last few days have been just around this, the feeling that it is confirmation. Cool. So, Jesus, Yahshua, like I want to be like Jesus. I don't think it's Jesus. But Jesus is the symbolism. What they did was they took the sun and the 12 constellations and they superimposed human narratives on top of constellations because it was easier to teach. When you could give people a human story about a big idea, it made it more available to them. So they made the sun, to make the sun palatable, they made the sun a human being and they called him Yahshua or Jesus. Now, I personally don't believe that any of these people lived. That's just me. And let me just say why. Because it doesn't matter if they lived or not. What matters is the narrative and the story and how it applies to me. So it doesn't matter if they lived or not. All that matters is how I am interpreting that experience, their journey, for myself. Because as humans, we're all on the same journey. We're all on a journey to evolve. That looks different because we have many lifetimes. Like this lifetime, I was born into an incredible karmic experience where I really believe that I was, and I mean this lightheartedly, sort of, but it doesn't really matter. I believe that maybe I was a slave master in my last life because this year, not this year, this lifetime, I was born into a deeply shackled experience where I could not get myself free from the experience that I was absolutely subject to everything that was going on around me. And now that I understand astrology and cosmology and karma, the reason that I would be born into an experience where I was so deeply oppressed is likely because from the experience that I came from, I was so deeply oppressive. That's how it works. So I've spent this lifetime, my entire lifetime, this lifetime, freeing myself from the oppressive energy that seemed to confine me. And how I have worked myself out of that. For years, I was just angry and, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And my mother died and my mother is this and my daddy. I was just at odds. I was just in chaos with the experiences I was having, until I started to ask some questions. Now, it took years for this. It took like 3 decades for me to start really recognizing that I was having a different experience than everyone else and that I needed to find a way through it and out of it. Now, like I said, I had always known that the stories of the Bible were about me, about my life, about the stories of the Bible were the key to unlocking these karmic patterns that I found myself in. The thing is that they weren't being taught correctly. I was being taught that I should believe in somebody, that who I am is not enough, is not good enough. I need a savior. And in that, in me believing that, even though as a child I knew it, but because everyone else was no one was confirming it for me. No one was saying this is, oh, you're right, that's how we do. No, because no one was saying that, I started to adhere to the information that I was being given, and I started to project outside of myself that I needed a savior, which compounded my karma, which made me even more stuck because I started going outside of myself. And it wasn't until I started going inside and actually doing the deep internal work that I started to break the bonds of the old oppressive narratives that I inherited from my father and my mother, who they inherited from their father, because it's generational, right? So here's my way. And I use astrology now, but my point today in the last couple of days is to help us understand that astrology translates to Christianity. Astrology translates to Christianity, and here's how. The center is the sun. See, I got this little human being here. My art is just coming along. But this is the head, and the body goes all the way around. The head starts in Aries, and the body goes all the way around, and the feet end in Pisces. And so that means that every constellation and all that it impacts is inside of you. All of it is inside of you. Aries all the way to Pisces is inside of you. This configuration is different for everyone because we all have a different sun. We all have a different sun. We all have a different moon. We all have a different configuration of the same materials. Oh, you know what, you guys, I forgot. Today is Venus Day. I forgot. Okay, great. Somebody just sent me $25. Today is the day that I asked for donations. So if this work supports you, if it's helping you to evolve, to transform, to do anything that feels good to you, Venus is about exchange. It's about reciprocity. So if this work supports you that I've been doing for this Master Nodal class, this is our Master Nodal class, I invite you to donate. You can do that at Monique at sign Monique Ruffin for Cash App, at sign Monique. No, I'm sorry. It's $ Monique Ruffin at Cash App, at sign Monique Ruffin for Venmo, and for PayPal, Monique, Monique, C as in cat, Ruffin, Ruffin, at gmail.com. So thank you in advance. Thank you in advance. I really appreciate whatever, thank you. It helps me to know that y'all get it and you guys appreciate it. It just does. It just helps me to know that you get it and that you appreciate it, and it helps me sustain myself. So thank you. So back to this. All of it is inside of you. Now, it's the law of oneness, which nobody ever fucking talks about. Everybody's always talking about the law of cause and effect and the law of attraction and but it is the law of oneness that is the most profound activating power here, because everything is connected. And our example of that is how fish are in the ocean. The fish are separate from one another, but the ocean is all connected. So they're breathing the same, they're eating the same, everything is connected. We are the same. We are separate, but we're breathing the same air, we're drinking the same water. So we are deeply connected. So everything here is oneness. So Jesus Christ, the Son, and someone was saying here, 12 disciples, 12 signs, 12 houses. Absolutely right. That is it. 12 houses, 12 signs, and 12 disciples. And so Aries is Peter. You guys can't see this as well as I might like you to be able to see it, but Aries is Peter, Taurus is James, Thomas is Gemini, John is Cancer, Judas is Leo. Sometimes Judas is Scorpio also because of the betrayal piece. But we think that betrayal is a bad thing, but betrayal is actually a good thing. Like we just have everything upside down here. Betrayal is if it were not for the betrayal, if it were not for Judas betraying Christ, betraying Jesus, he would have never accessed his Christ energy. And that's the thing that I feel like is so important in the conversation that we have around racism. If it were not for white people and these systems of suppression and elitism and classism, we wouldn't have the conditions that would force us into evolving, that will force us to become more. You cannot. He said Judah is a Leo. Yes. You cannot access your greatest yet to be without opposition, you guys. I know. We don't want any. Let me tell y'all, like, I am so sensitive. I don't want no pain. I really don't want no suffering. But it's impossible to have it without it. You cannot, like the butterfly had to go through that painful experience of leaving behind the caterpillar energy and liquefying to become a butterfly. You cannot grow without opposition. And if you look at, and I use the Black experience as my example but if you look at the great opposition that Black people have experienced in America, all around the world, but particularly America, look at all the creativity that has come out of it. Jazz music, blues music, soul food, dance, art. When Black people were enslaved, they created rice farms, the textiles, like all of these incredible creations that create societies and cultures have been born out of Black people's oppression. And the whole world is in a different reality because of Black people and their creations that come from oppression. Pain is a part of the evolutionary process. And the more that we can surrender to it, believe it, understand it, but also direct it. Also know, like, you don't want to have so much pain that you kill, that you die, right? You want to have enough pain that actually gets you into another experience. And this is why we see athletes practice over and over and over again, because it's like you literally want to prepare yourself to meet the opportunity to evolve. So you have to, it's like you have to break your body over and over and over again. So when the opportunity comes, you have prepared yourself for it. So right now, I think I was saying Judas for the Leo, Judas, they're the same. But Judah is it was a whole territory. Like Judah was like the whole top of Africa. Like that's where those of us who migrated over, whether it be through a slave trade or just through migration and exploration, we were from Judah. in Africa. We were here before Columbus came, because we had already, if you look at the Olmec sculptures in Mexico, like Africans have been here already. And it's just important for us to really understand that these last 2,000 years where we are talking about biblical information and perspective, we have been here for thousands of years. 2,000 years is nothing. We have been here for 60,000 years. You know what I mean? Like this has been going on a long time. The current history that we talk about is a fraction of what is really real. Okay. So my point that I really wanted to get to today is that Bartholomew, or Nathaniel, who had two names. A lot of the disciples have two names. So I have watched, there's a television show called The Chosen. It is a fucking great show about Jesus. Oh my God, I love it. It's 4 seasons already. The only thing that is hard is that all of the actors who play Jesus and his disciples are all white or European. They have totally usurped the true essence and time period of these people. But like I said, I don't really believe that any of it is true anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's really all mythology. And so they get to, I just tell myself when I'm watching it, these are our stories that we created, but they're for humans. And it would be wonderful if European white people would truly take on the essence of Jesus as he is meant. Because what we see in this world, this country, Christianity is very decisive. Very divisive, very toxic. It's not true because there's so many lies that are, and so much deception coded into it. But I diverge. So Bartholomew, Pisces, the point that I'm trying to make, I'm getting to is Pisces. Pisces is the energy of our spirituality. It's the energy of the unseen world. And Bartholomew, Nathaniel in the Bible, is one of the least mentioned, is one of the least mentioned disciples, which is the nature of Pisces. I'm sorry, you guys. Hold on one second. My cat, hold on one second. Don't go anywhere. Come on, my aunt. Talk about wrangling cats, y'all. I really am wrangling cats. So, Bartholomew Nathaniel is one of the least mentioned disciples in the Bible. And when he is mentioned, it's something very subtle. Like he's having a conversation with Jesus, and Jesus says, something deeply intimate about who Bartholomew is. And Bartholomew says, "How do you know me?" And Jesus says, "I saw you sitting underneath a fig tree. And when you were with somebody else, like another one of the disciples." And when I read this, I look at the symbols in it, because all of this is symbolism. It's not a real story. It's the symbolism. So the fig tree is the symbolism of protection. The fig tree is the symbolism. And how do I do it? Like I read the scriptures, and then I have an encyclopedia of magical herbs where I go look at what is the meaning of the fig, or what is the meaning of these things, because the symbolism it's really about the symbolism. And so the meaning of the fig is, first of all, who is a Sag in the Bible? The meaning of the fig is ruled by Jupiter. It's masculine, it's fire, and its powers are divination, fertility, and love. So when I look at that, I understand that Bartholomew had, his energy was really about protection. He was more spiritual. He was not as visible. Divination just means that he had this magical energy, right? So I look at the meaning, the symbolism of it all so that I can understand the energy, because Pisces is the spirituality. It's the unseen realm. It's the protection. It's the magic. It's the divination piece, right? That's what Pisces is, and that's where the sun is right now. So while the sun is there, like I was saying a few videos ago, Jesus said, there are many mansions in my Father's house. There are 12 mansions in Jesus's Father's house. Those mansions are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. These are also the 12 tribes of Israel, and everyone has everything in them. And when you understand it through your own system, when you follow these energies, you become more attuned to the power within you, to the Christ within you. What is it that I'm trying to say? Because I want to say something. I want to be clear. Because yesterday I was talking about how they have hijacked how there are people, experiences, organizations in real time that are using these old technologies from a very egotistical perspective. And they are calling themselves things like they are the Israelites. They are not the Israelites. It's not how it works. That's really not how it works. The code for the Israelites to be an Israelite is encoded in you. It is the mastery of your masculine self and your feminine self. Your feminine self is the moon. Isis is I-S. I-S. I-S equals moon. Y'all can't see that. I-S equals moon. And then Ra is the sun, and El equals God. So when you have the sun, the moon is Ra, the sun, El, aligned inside of you. When you have aligned your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere of your brain, then you are an Israelite. When you have aligned those energies inside of you, it's not something that you are born with because of a religion. It is a code that you have to awaken within you to make yourself an Israelite. It's encoded in you. And it's not a religion. It's not it's not a person. It's a code. And because we don't understand it as it's meant to, we are neglecting our own evolutionary powers within us, because the stories are that Israel is out there in the world somewhere, over a plane and through through an ocean or whatever, but it's inside of you. It is the alignment of the masculine and feminine within you. That's what it means to be an Israelite. And I mean this, so, it's also very important for us to know that when the Bible was written, there were no white people. White people didn't exist. Whiteness is a construct that we created as human beings to do exactly what is being done right now. It's a hard thing to get. It's hard to really understand. Why will we do that? Because the oppression, the energy of opposition and force builds power. So the people who are pushing and being oppressive are supporting the people who are being oppressed and actually getting so much that you just but if you understand that the way to respond to the oppression is by harmonizing your own masculine and feminine energies, your own Isis and Ra, your own sun and moon. We all have a sun and moon. We all have, and when you do the work to harmonize them, your emotions is your inner world, the moon ruled by John, or sometimes we say Mary. When you dominate your own emotions, your own internal world, then it will reflect the light of Ra, the sun, which wherever your sun is in your chart. So for me, I have a Gemini moon, and that Gemini moon is very chaotic. It's very it's like that. And I have spent my life working to harmonize it so that it is not as reactive and not as overthinking and not as overanalyzing, so that it can reflect the light of my Virgo moon, which is the energy of Matthew or Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene, who they said was a whore, right? She was so, I'm quite a whore myself, or I have been in my lifetime. But we don't even understand that to be a whore means to be a sacred healer. Like all the language has been hijacked and demonized. To be a woman who is enlightened means that you have been able to harmonize your own masculine and feminine energy, and you bring healing to this reality. But we have, like I said, demonized all the language and all that sort of stuff, so we don't understand what things really mean. We're really just coming back to ourselves. So when you are able, through devotion and dedication and consistency, to harmonize the hemispheres of your brain. And also, by the way, when you are born, wherever the planets are at the time of your birth, that is the pattern of your brain. So when you follow the sun and the moon, wherever it is, and you do the rituals and the work, you begin to repattern the grooves in your brain, and you make yourself into a new person, which is what? Christ. It's Christ. It's Jesus, right? So when you follow all of these energies on a regular daily basis, you're already in them anyway. That's the thing. You're already in them. All you have to do is pay attention to it. The way you're like, oh, today is Friday and tomorrow is Saturday. You're already in it, right? The ways that we have been taught to relate to reality has been designed so that we give our energy and our power away, so that we externalize it. But when we understand that this stuff is all inside, and you begin to recognize it inside of you, that's the point when you actually access the Christ power and you activate the higher consciousness within you through the alignment of both hemispheres of your brain. All right, you all. I think that's kind of all I got today. I do want to talk a little bit about the eclipse because we had it last night. It was beautiful. Did anybody see the eclipse last night? Yes, it's all inside. So last night we had an eclipse in Virgo, a lunar eclipse in Virgo, where it was a full lunar eclipse. I went out last night after someone close to me texted me to say it was beautiful, and I went out. And eclipses are reboots, like when you reboot your computer and you shut it down and you to open up to a new, that's what an eclipse is. It's a reboot. Because like I said, the moon and the sun are guiding our whole existence. So when the moon gets crossed over by another celestial body, our inner world gets rebooted. So with Virgo, Virgo is about perfection. Virgo is about healing. It's about your body, your self-care. Virgo is the energy of the Virgin. Like I said, Mary is is a Virgo. Like Jesus was born to a virgin, and the virgin, Virgo is the virgin. And so Mary, Jesus' mother, was a virgin. So we get to use this energy to give birth to our own Christed consciousness, our own Ra. I mean, Haru or Ra. Like we get to birth that, and we get to perfect ourselves. And so where in your life are you needing, requiring, at the edge of a new yet to be? Where can you see in your own experience where you can embody more of that Virgoan energy? What needs to be let go? What needs to be, because that's what Virgo is. It's like this stays and this goes. Virgo is about dedication and discipline. Where can you stand more dedication in your life, more discipline, more structure? I know for me, my mind, I was telling you guys I have a Gemini moon, and my mind, I have historically let my mind just run. Like, you know, you go in the grocery store and you see a mother with kids just running around, and you're like, where's their mother at? That's how my mind is. My mind is like, come and get your thoughts, girl. Like just children running around. And so what I am doing this cycle is becoming more dedicated, more disciplined to my to harnessing my mind and controlling it, and not allowing it to control me, not allowing my mind to dictate the stories of how I feel and what I need and all that. I literally am working to become the ruler of my mind, and I'm perfecting that. So what is it that you're perfecting right now? Because whatever it is you're moving towards perfecting is going to support you in accessing a greater level of your own Christ. In, Vedic traditions, they would call Christ Kundalini. It's an energy that actually lives in the base of your in the base of your spine. And when you are doing the work, it starts to activate and it rises up. It's a real thing. It's literally a real thing. It begins to rise up, and it will help you to reveal your power, your magic, your gifts, your intuition, your psychic abilities, your chi to move. Like, it's a real thing. And the more we understand that it's real, and the more of us that access it and activate it, the more of us that can help others do it, because it's kind of like a wildfire. It will spread, but it's important for us to know, like Jesus, if he lived, if he was a real person, he had Kundalini is what he had. And what we've done is we've deified him, like he's the only one that can have Kundalini. No, everyone can have it if you're willing to put in the time, effort, consistency, and discipline to access it. And it makes a difference in your life. It is a valuable thing to access, but we have not been taught that. We weren't taught how to use the energy to heal, and how to use the energy to transform our bodies and to heal our bodies. We were taught that you need to go to the doctor. So they don't want you to have the power, because if you have the power, then you render all of these systems non and void. If you have the power that is actually innate inside of you, already there, if you access it, all this stuff that we're doing, all these industries will collapse. The more and more, like, it won't even occur to me to go to a doctor unless like my bones are broken, because I know how to heal myself. I know how to heal my children. I know how to do these things, and I had to learn, and I've been practicing for years, and I'm getting better and better at it. And as I get better and better at it, I'm no longer outsourcing the things that the Christ power energy inside of me can do, because there's no need for it. Like, we come to this reality with everything we need within us. This is the stuff you need. And I haven't even gone into how, like, I'm talking about the outside of the body, but we have adrenal glands and organs and every Aries. All of these constellations also rule us to the very tiniest morsel of us is ruled or by an aspect of this, the tiniest part of us. Like, it's so remarkable to consider. Like, when I think about, when I drink a glass of water, that is going to go into my body, it's going to filter through my kidneys, and then it's going to go through my bladder. Like, this body is a intelligent system, and it is a part of the greater experience of oneness. And when we honor the oneness, the body will align and work and be exactly what we need it to be. And when we understand that everything in the reality is a story, is information about you. It might not look like it is, but it is. Everything in reality. And this is just how the narratives of the Bible, the 12 disciples, the 12 constellations, the sun and Jesus, and the 12 houses, all of it is an expression of oneness. What's happening out there is happening in here first. And if you pay attention to it from in here and move it around internally, it will shift what's happening out there without you having to do anything. If you do it inside, it will project out there without you having to do anything. And the more you align yourself and you remove the stories, the separation, the misalignment, the lies, the faster your experience will shift on the outside. The more you are not connected to things that are not true, you literally will watch the screen of your life shift automatically. All right, you all. Peace and blessings. Thank you guys for your donations. Thank you for, like, one of the things I really would love to know is, like, how does the work actually help you? Like, what's the difference that it makes? It just helps me to understand. I mean, I work with a lot of clients on a regular basis, and I see it in their lives. I see it in their lives, but I appreciate it because, I'm with them and I see them change. But for you all, I'm not talking to you personally, and I don't know how the work is really helping you. So how does it help? I would love to know how it actually helps. Like something I said and, or a ritual you did and how it showed up in your life. That would be really, I love that. I just love that kind of stuff. But in lieu of all of that, thank you for your donations. Thank you for your music playlist. Thank you. Someone the other day sent me some teas. Thank you for that. Someone before had sent me a necklace. Like, I just thank you, because it's all fun and we're having a good time. Peace and blessings. If you need support, you can check out my website, healwithmoonmama.com. It will be my pleasure to support you. I offer natal chart coaching, readings. I offer, right now, we have Venus and Mercury going into retrograde. Venus is already in retrograde. Mercury goes into retrograde tomorrow. So I am offering support with that for people who really want to do some work to shift their money stories and their identity, because this is a really rich time for us to have Venus and Mercury retrograde at the same degree in Aries for the next 2 weeks or so, until like April 12th, actually. So for the next month, this is a really prime opportunity to shift your money story and to to anchor into a new identity. And, when I say that out loud, I don't know if people really understand what that means, because there was a time I didn't understand what it meant. But who you tell yourself you are is how you experience the universe. And if you tell yourself, like, I remember I used to be like, oh, I'm like, I'm black and I'm a woman and I'm subject to men and I'm subject to white people. And I would tell myself that, like, I felt that inside of myself. And I felt that because I inherited that from my family. And then that was my experience. So I had to recode my whole identity. And I did that by understanding my natal chart, like who I really am. And I started to realize, like, oh, I think that I have to be in a relationship in order to be happy. That's not who I am. I can be happy just by doing what I really love. And so I started deconstructing the belief that I needed someone in order for me to be happy. And that had many legs and arms. It had, like needing external validation and needing approval and, needing to gauge how people were responding to me before I felt like if what I was saying made sense. Like, all these things had to be deconstructed. And that's the work that we're on the planet to do now. No people have done this work before us, like, not in this lifetime. Maybe, at times when we were in Atlantis, or maybe in the high times of Egypt, we were doing that kind of work. But for the last few thousand years, we've been in the dark ages and we've not been doing it. So we have a lot of cleanup to do. So you have to clean up your true identity. And many of us are identified with our partners and love and romance. And that's just not what's true for most of us. We just have been conditioned to think that that's what is real happiness. And what I've discovered is that here's what we know. You are born alone. You push yourself out of your mother's womb alone, unless the doctors helped you or, they did a C-section, which means that you haven't built strength and power to actually push yourself forward, because that's what the process is. I'm sharing so much information. That's what the process of coming through the vaginal canal is. It's literally a process of going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And when you don't activate that energy, you don't have that power. Starting in the womb, okay? And so what we all are here to do is to rebirth ourselves into our greatest yet to be. And you do that by deconstructing the identity that you were given and giving birth into a new identity. All right, I could talk forever and ever and ever and ever, but I'm not going to. So if you guys need support, healwithmoonmama.com. I'm doing the Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde survival kit to support people to create a new identity. And also on the 19th of March, we are going to be doing the orientation for the next Daughters of the 13 Moons, which starts, I believe, on the 20th or the 21st. So you guys will have 3 days to get into Daughters, and then it'll close again. So it closes every month, and we have 3 days when it's open, and then you can get in. And so if you want to get in the environment to get the information, there's a link here where I have the Daughters of the 13. You can join it and get into Follow the Sun. All right. Whew. Talk to you later. Bye.